Pascal isn't ready, but we sure are. Welcome to Playing the Field, the Bachelor podcast. I'm your host, Ryan Field, the sports anchor here at WABC in New York City, a longtime Bachelor fan. Those of you that watch us and listen to us, you know that we dish on all things Bachelor Nation with our favorites. Jen Matarese from here in New York City. Gina Sirico rejoins us in Los Angeles. Gina has missed, I think, the last 7 episodes, has it been?
It feels like that.
Jury duty, men tell all interviews. I mean, Gina's getting us all the scoops out there in Los Angeles, and we are happy to see her. She is back. Is that Dodger blue that you're wearing? It's hard to tell. Or is that purple?
It might be.
It might be, yes.
Call it Dodger blue if you'd like.
I am taking a break from covering the World Series, which has been crazy, again, to talk about The Bachelor. And what an episode that we witnessed here for Fantasy Suites in Tahiti. We're going to get into all that. But without further ado, we have a very special guest here with us today. Our man, Charles, a fan favorite from Joan's season, joins us now. Charles, how the heck are you, man?
Doing very well, Ryan. Thank you. How about you?
We're doing great, and we are so excited to see you. And first of all, for the viewers that don't know and listeners, where are you coming to us from today? Where are you talking to us from?
I'm from Malvern, Pennsylvania.
Oh, okay.
Your neighbor from New York, yeah.
East Coast representation. How far is that from New York City, would you say?
A 2-hour drive.
Oh, wow. We just should have had you here in studio, Charles. Come on now.
Actually, I'll be there this Saturday.
Well, now he tells us. We would have loved to have you here in person, buddy. That would have been great. So give us a glimpse into your life now since your time, I guess, on Joan's season has come to an end, because to say that you were a fan favorite would be an understatement, and I'd imagine that continues to be the case here today.
Well, thank you very much. As you know, probably at some time I talked, it is a big surprise, when I applied the program, I was not sure whether I would be accepted. Yet, I got accepted and started the program. It's such a new journey, and I was thrilled. And after the program was on air, my daughter, called me and said, "Dad, you're so popular now." I said, "Are you sure?" She said, "Yes." So anyway, it's kind of a surprise. And I don't know what else I can say. I mean, I want to just thank, my fans as well.
So are you getting stopped all over the place for photos and autographs and things like that?
Would you keep a secret?
Sure.
Yes. I was stopped, when I flew back from Shanghai, I was stopped at the Seattle airport, and I was stopped at the LA airport. And yesterday I was stopped even at the gym. The Charles, welcome back. I can hug me and we talk about this. Then you know what? They say, "Charles, can we have a photo?"
Ah, that's so sweet.
Yeah. Nice people.
I think the funniest thing is that you weren't even here in the height of all of that. So tell us about that, where you were, and like the fact that you didn't realize that you became as famous as you did.
It is true, due to the technical issues, was not very good with internet this year for whatever reason. And on one hand, I was a little bit nervous, because I don't know what's going to happen with episode 1. 2, on the other hand, I just want to know what's really going on, anything good about me or exciting things about our program, so on and so forth. Yet the feedback from my daughter was just tremendous and extra. I mean, you don't know what to say. Yeah. And then after probably 1 or 2 days, she sent me some clips, and I saw it, and I think they showed me the first meeting. I met Joan. Then the walking around with the kitchen seems like caught a great attention. That was
And listen, your journey on this show was certainly one of our favorites of this season, and just all the emotions that were tied around that. Looking back at your journey, what stands out the most about your time in the mansion, and what will you take away from that experience?
Okay, I think my message to myself, when I started journey, just be myself. As you know, we have 24 gorgeous, talented people. I mean, I didn't expect I was able to quote unquote compete with them in a sense, background-wise, language-wise, and so on and so forth. Yes, I kept to myself. And when it began to flow, as if, I was in the kind of, wave, and everything turned out to be pretty smooth. You asked me, are you a little bit nervous the first night? Of course, I was very, very nervous. But until when I opened the limo door, I said, well, what else can I do? I'm here, do what I can do. And particularly after, my first or second sentences was Joan, and she's gorgeous. She's a great communicator. Besides, she's, charming and intelligent. I said, well, it's fine. I can continue this conversation. So then I try to pick up some phrases, to break the ice. As you probably heard about, Charles not in charge. Seems like it worked, And that day I was very kind of excited, so didn't look tired. So things, turned out to be, as expected, if I can say, yeah.
Would you say that
if you ask me, what did I take it away from this journey?
What did you take away?
Sure.
Yeah, I would say, be yourself. And, we are in the senior age group. Sometimes we are nervous. We are not sure because after retirement, and we don't have many friends around it. So this is a great opportunity. Our age group, we still need to work hard and to make more friends, if you can. Second is don't sit around your home, go out, reach out. If something, I would call disaster happened to, like myself or Mark and other people, sure, it's okay to be sad, and we need help from other friends. But at the same time, we have to make efforts, to reach out. Happiness will not happen until you are determined to make efforts and reach out. This is what, I've reached. Not only, I made a good friend with Joan, in that journey, even though, was not that successful in a sense, yet a great journey with my other friends. We created, built our brotherhood, friendship, and we'll be, great friends for the rest of our lives. So these are the two key points I take away. Yeah.
Who would you say are your best friends that you made it during your time on the show? And maybe is there something we didn't get to see on the show that you had a really good time doing, or a funny story or something like that?
Actually, I'm a pretty easygoing person, and also I try to take care of other people whenever I can. The one is they are all great friends. Nothing else I can say about it. Yet, my roommate guy, we talked a lot. He's a doctor. So he's extremely close to me. Particularly in the last few days we are together. We talked a lot about the medicine, doctor, field, my wife's situation. And another person, is Mark. Not only, we had a similar background, but also probably, I don't know how much you saw on the TV. We cooked a lot together. And Mark is a great chef. I think he even brought us the new food they call gumbo from his own town. Gumbo.
Oh, gumbo.
Gumbo,
yes.
Okay.
That was new to me. And I love to cook, and I like to take care of people. So we shared more time together, preparing food and cook together. So, but I have lots. All of them are my best friends in a sense. But at one point, I spend more time with two of them. Pascal is a great guy. He, even though he has a little French accent, at one night we were joking about and one-on-one date, whatever. They say, Charles, any suggestion? I said, Pascal suggests what is really a French kiss. So everybody laughed.
I think in France they just call it a kiss, Charles, to be fair.
Oh, okay, yeah.
Oh my
I
God.
see. So I mean, they are all gorgeous people. Yeah. I mean, it was surprise at my age. I still can make, tons of great friends. So that's another, one I picked or brought back with me. Yeah. I'm very excited.
I think that one of the things that I think viewers love, that we love about the golden part of this franchise, is how different it is and how I think the bonds really are just so different. You talked about how supportive everybody was. We love to see that. So is that what people are asking you about or talking to you about? Like, just the bond and like you called it, the brotherhood.
Yeah, this I think it came as pretty natural. Probably you can tell we have 20 gorgeous men, yet we only have one gorgeous lady. So there's a kind of sense, there's a competition. You mentioned the game between Dodgers and Yankees, something like that. Yeah.
Yes, yeah.
But here we have 24 versus 1. Definitely there's competition.
Yeah.
Yet it's so interesting, it seems like, we tend to have more support and cheering for the other people, except if I share a little secret, I think the first night at maybe 3 a.m. at one point, there was a little bit intense atmosphere, if I can mention. Why? Because by then, still probably 5 or 6 people, including myself, didn't get a one-on-one with Joan. You know the kind of feeling you have. And there are some, gentlemen in the audience speculate, all those who didn't get a one-on-one may, quote unquote, not get the rose tonight, And Jack, as you know, when he talked, he really talked pretty loud. He was not happy to hear that. So in order to calm down everybody, I said, what should I say? And Charles needs to say something. I say something like, gentlemen, those who laugh last usually laugh the best. Oh boy, that calmed down everybody.
I love it.
Yeah, my experience, probably this is the only kind of tense. And another one is at the kickball a game. I mean, sure, both teams want to win so that we can have a party with Joan. That's so everybody put all the efforts. Whatever skills he will bring up into the field. So that probably the second time I experienced. And also thirdly, which is not obvious, people want to have one-on-one with Joan. But that's, I think, beyond our control in a sense.
Well, watching you learn how to play kickball was certainly one of our favorite moments this season, and that whole experience with that date was just great. And we know your time here is short. I want to ask you really a two-part question. Your journey with Joan, how much of that was a healing process for you, because you were both talking about the deaths of your spouses, and it really seemed to bring you even closer together. How much did that kind of heal you in that sense and get you back in the right mindset to get out and start dating? And are you dating currently, I guess, is the second part of that question.
Okay, so I'll go with the first question. I think this journey is a key point, turning point. Probably on the show, you maybe heard the first group date, prom date.
Yeah.
And I told Joan, and after our conversations, after we played, and after enjoyed my time at the prom, I said, Joan, in the last few years, today is my happiest day. And Joan was very happy to hear that. So that was the turning point. And also, other turning points, if I can say, is the engage the deep conversations more with Joan and other gentlemen, at the pool or in the, any kind of, near the kitchen. We open it up, some of the sorrow I never had a chance, to pour it out. But I thought it was time for me to do so. So that really relieved, particularly when I got an answer from Guy, what happened to my wife's, blood in the mouth. So this is it's a kind of turning point. So I would say, even from my daughter, say that has changed a lot. And I myself, if I can say, I feel a little bit lighter in a sense. And after, all the days over there, I told myself, it was sad. I was suffering, and I really missed my wife. Yet seems like this is the kind of, turning point, and another chapter needs to be written, on my side. So, and so that second question, Ryan, are you curious, if I was
Yeah, are you dating right now? I mean, listen, we saw a clip for next week's episode, The Men Tell All, that there was a woman in the audience that said, "Hey, my mom is single, Charles." I mean, we saw what was going on here. That's just a glimpse into your everyday life now.
Oh, well, I appreciate, that young lady, brought to the audience. No, I'm not ready. I mean, I have not started dating yet. I need to, sort out some of the things. I just came back from a long trip. So both mentally and kind of physically. But Ryan, I mean, if you have any kind of, good friend you want to introduce, don't hesitate.
I will send them your way, Charles. I know a few ladies that might be willing to make your acquaintance, as they say.
Oh, thank you.
I think you made him blush.
Yeah, for those of you listening, Charles was blushing just then. Listen, man, we can't thank you enough for being here, and we know the best is yet to come. Another chapter is ready to be written, and we're happy that we could be a part of that next chapter here on this podcast, and we wish you the best of luck, and hopefully that we can talk to you again real soon.
Thank you so much, Ryan. Thank you.
Charles, take care, buddy. I'll tell you what, Charles is an interviewer's dream because you ask him a question and then he just goes for like a minute and a half. So we didn't have to worry about him being not only short-sighted but short-winded. He was definitely long-winded, but gave great answers. And I think, listen, you can tell how sincere he is and just what a sweet guy that he is. And everything we saw on that season with Joan came to light here in this interview with us.
He was himself on the show. You could see that. You could see he presented who he truly is. His answers to us were very heartfelt. And
I know.
He just wants the best for everybody, and he deserves the best. And I hope he certainly finds that.
Yeah, absolutely. It's funny. The last time I talked to Joan, we had been talking about, matchmaking. She's been doing a little matchmaking. And I asked her about Charles, and she said, no one is good enough for that man.
Wow.
Good enough for that man. Like,
you know what? I
one's
think
good
she's
enough for
right.
him.
The
I think
bar.
she is too.
Yeah,
There has to be somebody, though. He needs to be happy.
Mm-hmm.
You need to have
The bar
to
is
get
high.
him
and
out there, and yeah.
I kind of feel a lot of pressure now because he kind of put it in my lap, said, "Hey, hook me up with somebody."
I hope he finds someone.
I know. I'm gonna have to put out an SOS here to some people on social media. Who wants
our
to date with
fans?
Charles? Yeah, I think we could make that happen.
Listeners.
Speaking of dates, we had 3 fantasy suite dates on this week's episode as we get to a very juicy and so disappointing ending. Damn you, Pascal. I picked him to win, and he let me down. So, and my friends here who like to read spoilers, I hope you two didn't know that was coming and have been baiting me all along this entire season. Knowing
For the record,
okay,
I did not read spoilers.
You know
I did
what?
not go seeking them out.
I'm happy about that because you know why, Gina? I didn't want that to influence your opinions on this season as we're watching this organically. So I'm glad.
The only thing I know about is Men Tell All because I was there for the.
You were there for that.
So, and Disneyland. So
and
yeah.
Disneyland, yes, you were the third wheel on Joan and Chock's date. So we get to the fantasy suite dates. Nancy is there from Gary's season. Joan's so happy. I thought she was going to pull a Gina and be a third wheel on all the fantasy suite dates. I thought Nancy was going to do that, but they decided not to do that. But she confides in Nancy, and then she gets her first fantasy suite date with Guy. And, I think if there was any hesitation, not that we had it, but if you did, about if Guy was the right guy for her, I really think he is. I love their date. I love their chemistry, and I thought he just plays it much cooler than Chock does, who's like all up in her face about how much this, and this. And I kind of like Guy's energy, and I like his approach, Jen.
He did seem to hold back a little bit this time and let her come to him. And let her discover who he is and his personality and the fun they could have together. And I'm glad she gave it a real chance. I do worry that when she has conversations with him, she tends to speak in very general terms, where he'll talk about his future with her and she'll say, I really hope I have a great future, a happy future, or whatever.
Right,
you know what I mean? And I'm like, are you picturing it with him? But then as the date went on, she did say that she could envision a future with him. So I hope that she is taking it seriously in that regard, because he seems great for her.
Gina, do you agree?
Yeah, and I think, she said that, she told me when I spoke with her a couple of weeks ago that his family especially, like, and they talked about it on this date, like, she fit right in with the family, and she said that her sisters basically his sisters would basically like make her feel like she belonged at any family function. And that right there is a nice key. Obviously, they have good chemistry and they have fun together and they're able to kind of talk openly, which we're all seeing. But also that other little element of, the family likes her and the family thinks she could fit in. I think that's key as well.
And especially as we've talked about, when you get to this age in your life, when there's so many other things to consider besides just your feelings, families are involved. I think to Gina's point, that is a key point. And again, we don't know how intimate those discussions got in the fantasy suite. We're guessing there was no intimacy since there was no beds. But, those discussions, did they sleep on the couch? I mean, I don't know how that
I think they went
worked.
to separate rooms. I think that's, I don't know for sure, but I think like that was their time off camera to like just have those conversations. And it wasn't like a let's all sleep in this room thing. I have a feeling they just went back to.
I'm wondering how long they stayed. Like when we see Guy the next morning walking down the beach or whatever, like, did he just leave his conversation? Did he wake up that morning? Was he alone for a while? I mean, I don't know. We really don't know. But she did seem pretty well rested for her next dates, I'll say. She didn't seem super exhausted. So.
And do we think they did all 3 dates consecutively? I'd love to have one of the producers on that could really give us like the ins and outs, the X's and O's, sports term, of these episodes, so we could really kind of get a sense of how this played out. Gina, do we think it was 3 consecutive nights for the Fantasy Suite dates?
I am not in production. I don't have those contacts.
I know. That's why I asked what you thought.
I don't know. I'm not sure. I think it just all depends on what they're doing. For their day part of their date. I think it really just all depends. And again, if they were up all night talking, then maybe they need a day of rest. I'm not sure.
Sources close to me say the couch did pull out. So I don't know. Maybe they did spend the night.
Okay, we'll get to it, but Chock seemed to like give a little wink, like, hey, I'll let Joan talk about what went on.
Right, I don't kiss and tell. Chock, you old sailor, you.
Okay, he's kissing a lot on camera, so, I mean,
Chock
door
is all
closed.
in. Chock is all in. They had a great ATV date, dinner on the cruise ship, vows not to hurt her, basically ready to get engaged. Gina, are we buying what Chock is selling? Joan says he's too good to be true. I think he's a little over the top. Where do you fall on this?
I think that he's sincere. I mean, look, he is not he just says how he feels, and if he's in love with her, like it certainly seems that way. I don't know that his face lights up when he sees her, and hers too. Like she has the same reaction. So there is a connection there. And do I feel like they're telling the truth when they talk about love? Yeah, I do.
They, like you said, light up when they see each other. And I think her reaction when she saw Chock, as opposed to Guy and even Pascal, was more real.
Okay.
I don't know. That was the vibe I got from like, because they were like, oh, I missed you so much.
Yeah, there was a lot of whispering.
Yeah. And I'm like, what kind of secret business is going on here?
Yeah, that was before the fantasy suite.
Yeah. So I don't know. I mean, they seem to have like this understanding amongst each other. I don't know if that's true.
Can I tell you guys a secret?
Sure.
That I've not mentioned on this season? And as someone who is a broadcaster for a living, for better or for worse, I could listen to Chock talk all day long.
You like his voice?
Guy's got a great voice.
Oh, now I gotta listen again.
I hope when we have him on this podcast, he's as long-winded as Charles was in the interview, because I just want to listen to all of his answers. He's got like the Kansas drawl mixed in with just the right tone. That's just me coming to you. From
Can we have him recording like ASMR sleep?
Yeah, I think we
something?
should. I'm gonna have him read a Nancy Drew novel to me. How about that?
That's what I mean when it comes to the sincerity of Chock. I do feel like he has that Midwestern, like real just sincerity about him. So when, yes, he may be a little over the top sometimes when it comes to professing his love, but that's because that's what he's feeling. And I don't think I think it's genuine.
All of us Midwestern guys are about as real as it can get. So that's what I'm going to say about that. Gina, for once you have nothing to say. I can't believe it.
I won't. I'll be nice.
So that brings us to Pascal.
The main event.
The main event. Dun, 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 dun. And as far as shockers go, and we had seen some snippets in the trailers throughout the season of him, telling the cameras to get away, and we didn't have any context as to what happened. I've been watching this show not as intently as you two have. Obviously, we've made that clear for the last 20-some years, whatever it's been. But that was as surprised as I have been on a show in terms of, in The Bachelor, in terms of, I don't know if I've ever seen somebody get to the fantasy suite and then dump the person they're going to see in the fantasy suite.
It's happened.
It has happened? Who was it?
Allie Fedotowsky. Remember Allie?
Oh my God.
I'm going back. Okay.
Well, see, this
Frank.
is why you're our Bachelor
Yeah, we're
insider.
going way back
So
now.
Frank, I'm like a Bachelor historian.
Yeah, you are. New title, Bachelor Historian.
I remember nothing, by the way. I have the worst memory.
But
for
Allie
some
Fedotowsky's
reason,
date, you got this
it like
on
stuck in
lock.
because she was so heartbroken. It was Frank, his name was.
You even know his name?
Yeah.
Did you
And he
do
had
research
glasses.
before this podcast?
No, but it reminded me of that where, I thought she liked somebody, and it's the same. I thought Joan was like tunnel vision for Chock until this happened and you saw the hurt.
Yes.
And I was like, wait a minute. Is he her number one in her head?
And I thought he was all along, and I think she saved the best for last. Gina, 2 questions. Do you remember the Allie Fedotowsky fiasco that Gina,
I am not
Jen is
remembering
referencing?
Desiree also
but that
got
doesn't mean it
broken
didn't
up
happen,
with.
obviously.
Yeah. Well, listen, we can all agree it does not happen often.
No, not often.
No.
It does not. It hardly ever happens on this show. And Pascal, kudos to him, Gina, for being true to himself in realizing that he still is heartbroken and still processing things with his ex. Were they engaged? Did he say it was his fiance?
They were almost engaged.
Almost engaged. And they had gotten together, broken up. We've all done that song and dance before. Maybe not Jen because she's been married for 25 years.
It's happened.
But it has happened?
Pre-husband.
Pre-husband. Okay.
James is the best.
Obviously that
that's
goes
why I
without
married
saying.
him, right?
Yes,
Yeah.
important disclosure. James is the best. But it happened with other guys. We've all been there before in relationships.
Mm-hmm.
And Pascal is true to his heart. I think the thing that hurt Joan more than anything is when he said that there wasn't a spark. And when he told her that, I was like, wow, bro. You're in Tahiti on a fantasy suite date and just laid it on her.
Well, it's not like they hadn't kissed, and he
That's
kissed
the
her
whole thing.
several times. So how many times do you kiss someone before you realize
But
there's no spark?
let me say this. They did that Tahitian cleansing ceremony.
Bonding ceremony.
Bonding ceremony. They had the palm tree wrapped around their hand, whatever that was. Kind of like a baptism as well. I think it didn't come to the surface for him until that very moment. And he even said, he's like, oh, I thought this was going to be a fun date and just a couple kids messing around. And I think he wasn't ready to get to that point. And all of a sudden he found himself being forced to get to that point.
I'm kind of glad, because what if this had gone all the way to the final two?
Yeah, right.
And
then he
Joan
realized
thinks
it.
she's all in on him, and all of a sudden he's like, wait.
But can I also counterpoint and just say that if you were not sure about your feelings, and we still saw him with his walls up last week at hometowns and even prior to this, if you didn't think that he's like, I didn't think I was going to get that far. And this was just going to be like a fun thing for him. If he thought that way and he really cared about her as a friend, then why would you? Oops, sorry, I get so emotional about it. I moved my mic.
We need a new camera over there.
If you cared so much about that, then why would you stay in it for this long?
And involve your family.
Exactly. Involve your family and then get to the overnights knowing what the next step is, which is you're in the final 2 and you're in the final, like you could be the one. So I get where it may not, he may not have felt it, whatever, but even if you had the littlest inkling that this wasn't for you, that she wasn't for you, why didn't you kind of talk about this or self-eliminate before this? Because when you're at the final 3, like that's a big deal.
Yeah, I agree. And I think he kind of felt, I mean, maybe in his head when they're going through this whole thing, it almost felt like they were getting married in a way. And he was like, whoa, It was like, it's like the boyfriend you came on too strong with or something.
This was the guy before James?
Oh, yeah.
Yeah,
no.
I see. Yeah.
No, but I felt like all of a sudden Pascal's like, what? We're married? What's going on here?
Yeah, and I honestly think, Gina, listen, you bring up a great point, and I'm sure he was having some sort of doubts, but I don't think there were enough doubts for him to sabotage his experience, and he wasn't trying to hurt Joan. I think, to Jen's point, I think it hit him like a ton of bricks in that moment. And you could almost see like his whole facial expression changed. Like he became like this different guy. He's like, holy crap, this is real. And now I have to decide if I want to propose to this person. And I think in that moment, it hit him like a ton of bricks. And he maybe all those feelings that Gina has pointed out, maybe all of those really came to the surface. And he said, holy smokes, I am not ready for this.
I don't think he wanted to hurt her, too.
No, definitely not.
And I think that could have been a little of that. I think that could have been like he was maybe hoping that he would get there. But I don't know. I think he's in love with his ex.
I think he still has some issues to be worked out with the ex-girlfriend. Gina,
I also think too that like, why would you think that going into the overnight fantasy suite date would be just like the fun part of things? Like you've had your fun. I mean, you did Vegas, you did all these different things like that
Frenchman.
were fun.
He was counting on the pullout couch.
Oh, come on now. No, but what I'm saying is him saying, "Oh, I thought we were gonna have just a lot of fun."
Yeah, the pullout couch. Come on, Gina, let's call it what it is. We're all adults on this show.
Please take note. Ryan requires a pull-out couch on his dates.
There's a joke to be made there that I'm not going to make.
Many New York City apartments. Don't go there, Ryan.
Don't do it.
He's 69 years old, and he was, listen, I do think his feelings for Joan are genuine. And as we witnessed, they both said, I love you on the way out the door, which, Joan did kind of throw that word around, I thought, a little too loosely with some of the guys that were leaving the show. But the fact that, he reciprocated it, and I do think they have a certain level of love between them. But I think Jen,
as friends, as he would say,
yes.
as friends.
Yes,
and I think he realized that the spark just isn't there. And listen, that happens. But Jen, you bring up a great point. Joan was pretty crushed about this. Yeah. And we saw that in the trailer for next week in the Men Tell All, which Gina was privy to already seeing, where that one little clip where she says, I really thought we had a future together. And I think she saved Pascal for last because she already knew how she felt about Chock. Guy was like, okay, Guy's cool, but she really wanted it to be Pascal because he reminded her of her ex-husband, and she had this thoughts of this exciting life that they could live together for the next however many years they're going to be together. I think all of that was going through her head, and she saved him for last because she wanted to be sold that he was the guy, and instead it went just the opposite.
I hope that it's enough time for her to pivot and really take a close look at who's left and see if they're the right ones. Or maybe in her head, she already has Guy or Chock picked out as the one. And maybe Pascal was her like, well, I do really, really like him. Let's see. But I don't know. Like maybe her confidence is just shaken by this whole thing.
And listen, I didn't like that she said, well, now I don't feel lovable. I mean, that I thought was a little dramatic. I mean, you have two guys fawning over you that I think most women would dream about, to have two guys fawning over them the way that Guy and Chock are over her. So
I may have had that dream.
Gina.
Which dream? That
Not
guy,
those
that
two
guy
guys,
and
but
Chock
having
were fawning
guys
over you?
Not
She-
those two
Oh,
guys, but
oh,
having
oh.
guys fawn all over you. Yeah, I've had that.
Listen, you didn't see David's eyebrow raise there when you said that. So we had to get some clarity for David.
But Joan
Got
likes
you.
to set people up on dates, and you hang out with Joan quite a bit now. So maybe Joan could set you up with one of
Yeah,
these guys.
right. I mean, you guys are basically besties
She
at
was
this point.
already. She was already to asking like, all right, which of my guys? am I
Yeah.
Yeah, she's like, "What's your age
Conversation
cutoff,
about it.
Gina, on your
Exactly.
Tinder profile?"
Some of these guys are pretty young.
Well, yeah. I mean,
61.
Pascal was the oldest. He was 69.
Well, we don't want to set Gina up with Pascal.
No,
He's not
I mean,
ready.
I would love
Although-
that. Can you take me for a ride in the Bentley, please?
I do need a haircut.
Yeah, Pascal Scissorhands. You like long hair? I think that would be great.
Oh,
My girl here would be very mad if I went to somebody else. But
Well, listen.
Gina's loyal.
An exception to the rule. So that brings us to next week. You know, Joan, will she leave alone? Now she's questioning everything. Bachelor drama. Da 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 da.
We got to bring Nancy back.
We
Nancy's
need
got to save the
Nancy
day.
back. We got a woman in the audience fawning over Charles. We see Jonathan crying on the couch. Gina, now, without giving too much away, because obviously you had to sign an NDA to go see the women tell all. I'm sorry, the men tell all. Does this one not have like the gossipy juice that other men and women tell all have? Is this more of like a heartfelt men tell all?
here's what I will say. It definitely harkens back to the Golden Bachelor when the women tell all. It was not, I think I can say this. It's not going to be catty drama and all like guys going after one another talking crap. It's just not that, because that's not what we saw throughout this season.
Right.
What we saw throughout this season is a bunch of really supportive guys getting, kind of moving on to the next chapter of their lives. And this, and they were doing it in this setting with Joan kind of helping them along. So I think that's what you are going to take from seeing this men tell all.
I think I agree with that. Before we get on to the other Bachelor Nation news, predictions? 2 to go. Does she pick one of the two? I mean, Chock. It's got to be Chock, doesn't
I think
it?
it's Chock only because of the way she talks to Guy, unless they're throwing us off and we're not seeing some things.
So your prediction is
It's always possible. It's
Okay.
always possible.
Gina's
but I do
team
think it's
Chock.
Chock.
Shauna.
Gina's been
Gina, you're
Team
taking
Chock
Chock.
since she was third wheel.
Okay. Yeah.
True. It's true. He was like smitten then.
With
he give
you
you
or
some-
Joan?
Not with me.
Listen, you were there. You know, those
There, I talked to
Midwestern
him for
guys.
5 minutes.
I'm sure it wouldn't be the first time that Chock took out 2 women at the same time. Look at that
Come
guy.
on now.
Come on
I
now.
don't think he's that kind of guy.
I know
really
he's
don't.
not that kind of guy.
He's loyal.
He's loyal, and that was an awesome date they had at Disneyland. Gina was there to see it. I, too, think Chock is going to be the guy, even though Pascal really let me down. And I hope we can have Pascal. That means we can have him on the podcast now, right?
Yeah, I think so.
Yeah.
Oh, I
If
can't
he's
wait for
willing,
that.
we don't know
Get
what
on it.
his. I hope the guys aren't mad at him for like staying on the show so long, or if they cut him a break.
No. I don't think so. And Joan wanted him there. If Joan wanted
Yeah.
one of the other guys there, then
That's
she would have had
true.
them.
Very
And-
good point.
And I think, listen, I think when we have Pascal on, warning, it's going to be a 3-hour episode of Playing the Field, because we're just going to get deep in the woods, or deep in the weeds,
Nothing
I should
wrong with
say,
that.
with Pascal. I'm looking forward to that. But there's been some other interesting Bachelor headlines this week, Jennifer.
Yeah, I really was excited to see Leslie. Remember Gary's runner-up.
Yes. And we had her on the podcast,
Yes,
Leslie.
and she was awesome. And Jordan from this season. And I
Yes.
think their personalities are really well suited for each other. They have similar energy. They both are like free-spirited, like loving life. And I don't know. I mean, they live sort of far away from each other, don't they?
No, Chicago and Minneapolis.
That's not far.
No. Oh, my goodness. David, do we have that globe handy for
Well, it's
for
not the same.
Jen?
It's not the same city.
no, they're not the same city, Minneapolis and Chicago. I'm glad we can establish that.
They are
Minnesota
closer than
is
New York
near.
and LA.
Yes, they are. Thank you, Gina, for the clarification on that.
But I think I hope they could hit it off and like make a real situation there. That's cool.
Can I tell you guys another secret?
Okay.
Oh, here we go. Yeah.
So Leslie and I follow each other on Instagram. After she was on the show, I thanked her for being on our podcast. And, we've talked smack about sports and stuff. And when she posted the picture of Jonathan, I did respond to her into her DMs, and I said "new boo" with the looky eyes emoji question mark, and she left me unseen.
Jordan,
So-
not Jonathan.
Yes, sorry.
Oh, I thought I was
I'm
like,
sorry,
wait.
sorry. Jordan. She left me unseen.
She wouldn't respond.
The first message, she has not responded to me. So make of that what you will. Is there some juice there, Gina?
Interesting.
You think there's some juice between
It's
Jordan
possible.
and Leslie?
I'm with Jen. I think they would be a great couple. I think like their energies match. I think they could have a lot of fun together. And both, like Leslie told us and has told you, she's big on sports.
Right.
Jordan is a big sports guy. I think that's something they could bond over, and I do think they're close in age. I think that would be a really great match. By the way, like I mentioned, Joan told me the last time I talked to her about doing a little matchmaking, and she didn't give me all the names of people that she's tried to match, but I have a feeling that may be at the hands of
Yeah, I could see that.
Which-
The only
I
downside
have to confirm, but yeah.
Yes, we know you're going to work on that out there in LA, getting us the scoop. The only downside, according to Jen, is that Minneapolis is the capital of Taiwan. So
Stop.
they live a little too far away to make this work.
Is this like my chicken of the sea moment?
Yeah, basically, yes.
Oh no. No.
What else did we see in Bachelor Nation
Gina,
this week?
you saw it first, I think. You sent it to me.
Mark Anderson.
Yes, Kelsey's
Mid-
dad.
Yes, Kelsey's dad. Was I at a party, I believe, a costume party
Mm-hmm.
for Halloween with Barbara Woods from One Tree Hill.
Who watched
Now, we
that
don't
show
know
here?
whether it's-
Whom? Yeah, hand in the air for those of you not watching and listening. Jen's a big One
I was
Tree
a
Hill
big One
fan.
Tree Hill fan. It was me. Yeah, she played Deb. She was the wife of the basketball coach who had the son, who was like Chad Michael Murray's nemesis on the show for a while. Then they became friends, then they weren't, and it went back and forth.
Boy, I'm really sorry I missed that season. Sounds like a real
No, she was a
real
key player.
intrigue.
And she's gorgeous, and they're in this photo together, all dressed up as what it was, Cinderella and Prince Charming or something, and like,
Oh yeah.
yeah,
Make of that what you will.
I know, and they look super cute together. So, I mean, the only thing that would disappoint me with this is the fact that if he's coupled up, then he's probably not our next Golden Bachelor.
Yeah, you know what? That's a good point. Well, a lot could happen between now and then.
Mm.
In the other big news, Jen Tran went home on Dancing with the Stars. Bum bum ba-dum.
It's a bummer.
Oh God.
Poor Jen.
Shout out to Jen though. She did so
She
well
did
this
great.
season.
She
She
looks
did.
amazing.
She did awesome.
Way better than
Last night
I
she was
covered too.
amazing.
Yeah, she was amazing in her last episode. Joey is still on. Is Joey still in it?
Yeah.
Oh yeah.
Yeah.
Joey's in it to
Joey's
win
a
it.
contender.
We're gonna have Joey back on the
knew?
podcast as a Dancing with the Stars champion. What a
Who
turn
knew
that would be.
the flamenco shoes from his season
Yes,
would come in
that's a
handy,
good
and he would
point.
grow into them as a great dancer. Who
Joey
knew?
Twinkle Toes, here he is, getting ready to win
He's
Dancing with the
incredible.
Stars.
He's
Yeah, he's
incredible.
really good. He's really good. Do we think anything's going on with Jen and Sasha? Holding hands, kissy
I
faces.
feel like they're friends, but then again, like they keep showing us this stuff. So it's like, okay, well, they're not completely denying anything either.
Gina's over here shaking her head. Gina?
No, I mean, I feel like after what happened to Jen during her season, she literally immediately got thrown into Dancing with the Stars, like
Mhm.
45 minutes later, and got to meet Sasha. And I do feel like she needs to do a little healing. I think that, Jen has told us she likes to flirt. You know what I mean? And so I feel like that's probably what this is. I mean, it's same with Jonathan. We're going to have Jonathan Johnson back on this podcast in the coming weeks.
Jonathan from
shown-
Jen's season, just to be clear.
Yes,
Not from Jen's
Jonathan
season,
from
yeah.
Jen's season. It's the same thing. She, they flirt, they hang out. He's supportive of her. I think that, I don't think she's in a relationship right now, but I do think, it could be an interesting situation.
Let me ask you this: as women, what I mean, is she even ready to date at this point? I mean, she was basically engaged to Devin, and how all that fell apart. I mean, is she still, not to go Pascal, but is she still like processing a lot of these things? And maybe she's just all about having fun right now and taking advantage of the moment and living in the moment.
That's kind of what I think.
Yeah, I think
It
so
could
too.
be. I mean, everybody's different, right? Some
course.
people, I mean, if she really, really wants to get married and do it quickly, then maybe she is like, okay, well, let's find some new boyfriends. But she's on a show, right? Well, she was on a show right now. She was very busy. So now that that's over, I think maybe in the next couple of weeks, maybe we'll see some dates or some fun outings with people. We'll see.
Yeah, I would love to see her and Jonathan end up being something.
Me too.
That would
I
be.
mean, that's my number one hope.
They'd
for
be
her.
such a cute couple. I would love that.
Have you seen the Halloween costumes?
I have not.
Oh my gosh. There's this whole
People
thing.
are dressing up as Jen and Jonathan from night one with the bandages.
Oh, with the
and
hey, that's great.
hospital
Isn't
gown.
that a great
It's
costume?
been amazing.
That's really cool.
There's a ton. It's so funny.
Props
If you
to
haven't seen
Bachelor
it,
Nation.
just look on social media and you'll find them.
Bachelor Nation representing as always. And speaking of Bachelor Nation, if you like our podcast, what do you need to do, Jen?
Like and follow us, and you'll be able to get updates on all our newest episodes. And
all
right
our
when they
newest
drop.
episodes. And speaking of which, next week, Gina, you have interviews for us from Men Tell All.
Yes, I do. I have some very interesting chats with a couple of people who you will be interested
Which is the one, without telling us what they say, who should we be most excited to hear from next week?
Pascal.
Oh, bum, bum, bum.
I do also have an interesting conversation with Jonathan.
Oh.
So I think those are the two that you will want to
We are looking forward to that
and
next
Mark
week.
Anderson too.
I was just gonna say,
And-
Of
Kelsey's
course,
dad.
Kelsey's dad. Yeah, exactly. All right, good stuff coming next week. Our thanks to Charles L. for being here from Pennsylvania, even though he somehow couldn't be in studio. We got to talk to the ABC people about that. Could have sent him an Uber for 2 hours.
He
to get
was
him
traveling for quite a while. He
Yeah.
was telling us 6 weeks in China, 2 weeks in Europe. He was all over the place. So
Yeah, 1 week in Minneapolis, so far away.
it is so far.
you're
But
not
yes,
gonna live that down
no,
now,
she is
Jen,
not.
right?
Oh, gosh.
Thank you to Charles L. for being here. Thank you to Jen and Gina. And thank you so much for listening and watching Playing the Field. We appreciate the support. We will see you next week on Playing the Field.